My dear ones, I want to tell you a story that will sit quietly in your heart long after it ends. It's a story about a mother's love, a son's mistake, and the kind of forgiveness that changes everything. There once was a woman named Lena, soft-spoken and kind, who lived in a little beach house that faced the sea. The walls carried echoes of laughter, the scent of cinnamon bread, and the kind of warmth that makes a house feel like a hug. Her husband had passed many years ago, but his memory lingered in every corner: the squeaky rocking chair, the handmade bookshelf, the rosebush he planted by the window. That house wasn't just wood and bricks. It was her history. Her son, Aaron, was everything she'd ever prayed for: bright, ambitious, and full of plans. From the time he was little, she told him, "Go chase the world, my boy. Don't be afraid of dreaming too big." And he did. He went off to college, met a beautiful woman named Sophia, and started his career in the city. Lena couldn't have been prouder. Every phone call, every visit, she saw her little boy becoming a man she could admire. But as time went on, distance did what distance often does. It grew quietly, like ivy creeping up a wall. The calls became shorter, the visits rarer. When Aaron did visit, he seemed restless, eyes glued to his phone, mind somewhere else. Still, Lena smiled through it all. He's busy, she told herself. He's building a life. Then one afternoon, Aaron arrived unexpectedly with Sophia. He hugged his mother distractedly and said, "Mom, we need to talk." Those 4 words always carry a storm behind them, don't they? He sat her down and said with a forced smile, "We're moving you to the city, Mom. You'll love it there. No more worrying about leaky roofs or repairs. It's time for a change." Lena blinked, her hands trembling just a little. "Moving me," she whispered. Aaron smiled wider, as if trying to convince himself. "Yes, you deserve something modern, an apartment with an elevator, a gym, a park nearby." Sophia found a perfect place. It's already set, already set," she asked quietly. That's when Sophia stepped in, trying to sound cheerful. "We sold the house this morning, Lena. You'll thank us later. It's time you had some comfort in your life." The room fell silent. Outside, waves rolled gently, as if the sea itself had stopped to listen. Lena looked out the window, at her rosebush swaying in the breeze, and she simply said, "I see." She didn't shout, she didn't cry. That wasn't her way. She just nodded, stood up, and began to fold her apron. Aaron felt a pang of guilt he couldn't quite name. "Mom, don't worry," he said, forcing a laugh. "You'll love the city." She only smiled faintly and said, "If my son believes this is right, then I suppose it must be." A week later, Lena found herself sitting in a sleek apartment tower, surrounded by white walls and chrome furniture. Everything smelled of newness, fresh paint, polished floors, but nothing smelled like home. The city noise hummed outside the window, replacing the rhythm of waves she'd listened to her entire life. She unpacked her few belongings carefully: a framed photo of her husband, a chipped mug Aaron had made her in kindergarten, a seashell she'd kept from her honeymoon. Sophia had tried to help but seemed distracted, complaining about traffic, noise, and her online meetings. Aaron was always gone, working long hours. In the quiet evenings, Lena would sit by the window, sipping her tea, looking out at the city lights that never seemed to sleep. And sometimes she'd whisper to herself, "It's beautiful," but it doesn't breathe. Days turned into weeks. Sophia began to notice Lena's silence, the way she didn't decorate the apartment, the way her eyes wandered toward the horizon as if searching for something that wasn't there. "Do you miss the beach?" Sophia asked one afternoon. Lena smiled gently. "I miss the sound of it. The sea talks to you, you know. The city just drowns you out." Sophia tried to laugh it off, but later that night, as she watched Lena sitting quietly with her tea, something inside her softened. Maybe she had been too eager to change everything. Meanwhile, Aaron was drowning in work and guilt. Every time he saw his mother's gentle smile, it reminded him of the home he'd taken away. He told himself he'd done it for her comfort, but deep down he knew it had been for convenience, for image, for control. One evening, Aaron came home late and found his mother asleep on the couch, the TV flickering softly. On the screen was an old video of him, as a child, running through the beach, laughing, his mother chasing after him with a towel. The rosebush was in the corner of the frame, blooming wildly. He turned off the TV quietly, sat beside her, and stared at her hand, thin, veined, worn by years of love and labor. He whispered, "I'm sorry, Mom," but she didn't hear. The next morning, Lena asked softly, "Aaron, can we go back one day? Just to see it?" Aaron hesitated. "It's not ours anymore, Mom. I know," she said. "But homes don't forget the people who love them." He didn't answer. He just kissed her forehead and rushed off to work. But her words followed him all day, echoing louder than the sound of the city. My dear ones, you know how sometimes silence says more than words ever could. That's how Lena lived those days in the city, quietly, gracefully. Her heart whispering in ways her lips never did. She woke up early every morning, just as she used to by the sea, even though the city didn't have waves or gulls to greet her. She'd brew tea, wrap a shawl around her shoulders, and sit by the window watching the light cross slowly over the rooftops. She'd whisper to herself, "Good morning, love," still talking to her late husband as if he were sitting across from her. Sophia would walk by, heels clicking on the polished floor, rushing for her meetings. "Morning, Lena," she'd say absently, juggling her phone and coffee. Lena always smiled. "Good morning, dear." But once the door closed, she'd sigh, her smile fading into something tender and lonely. Aaron came home less and less. There were always deadlines, clients, and projects that couldn't wait. When he did come, he brought gifts, handbags, fancy teas, scented candles, as if things could replace time. Lena thanked him each time, her eyes soft but distant. One evening, while cleaning the apartment, Sophia found an old journal tucked under Lena's pillow. She hesitated, then gently opened it. Inside were short notes, dates, thoughts, memories. On one page, Lena had written, "First night in the city. The lights are bright, but my heart feels dim. I miss the smell of salt and rain. He thinks he gave me comfort. But comfort without peace is just noise." Sophia closed the journal and sat on the bed, feeling a sting in her chest. She had thought they'd done Lena a favor, given her safety, luxury, ease. But now she realized they'd taken something sacred, her roots. That night, she told Aaron, "Your mom's unhappy. Aaron. He frowned. She just needs time to adjust. Sophia shook her head. No, she needs home. Aaron grew defensive. We are her home now. Sophia's eyes filled with quiet frustration. Are we? Because when I look at her, I see someone who's lost everything that made her her. Aaron didn't respond. He just turned away, but her words clung to him like shadows. Weeks later, Lena's health began to waver. Nothing dramatic, just fatigue, a faint cough, a lightness in her steps that made Sophia uneasy. They took her to the doctor, who said gently, "She's fine. Just needs rest and joy. Rest and joy. Two things money can't buy." So Sophia tried to bring joy back into Lena's life. She planned outings, lunches, small gatherings. But Lena always smiled politely and declined. "Maybe another time, dear. I'm just a little tired today." One day, Sophia came home early and found Lena sitting on the balcony, talking softly to a small potted rose plant. "Grow strong, little one," she murmured. "The city doesn't understand flowers from the sea." Sophia's throat tightened. "That's beautiful," she said softly. Lena smiled faintly. "It's something your father-in-law used to say. He believed even flowers could miss home." They sat together, talking for the first time like friends, not family out of obligation. Lena told her stories of Aaron as a child, how he once tried to build a sandcastle so big it reached the sky, how he'd cry when the tide washed it away, and how his father would kneel beside him and say, "The sea doesn't take things away, my boy. It just carries them to someone else who needs them." Sophia listened with a lump in her throat. That night, when Aaron came home, she told him about the conversation. "She loves you, Aaron, but she's fading here." He snapped. "What do you want me to do, Sophia?" "Buy the beach back." Sophia looked at him steadily. "Maybe just listen." But listening was something Aaron had forgotten how to do. The following week, something changed. One morning, Aaron woke up early. For the first time in months, he went to the kitchen. He found his mother already there, making pancakes the old way, just like when he was little. The smell wrapped around him like a memory. He smiled. "You're up early." Lena laughed softly. "Old habits. The sunrise doesn't wait for anyone." Aaron poured himself coffee, sat across from her, and asked, "Mom, are you happy?" She paused for a long moment, then said, "I am grateful." That wasn't what he'd asked. He felt it, the weight between the lines. Grateful isn't the same as happy. Lena looked at him, eyes tender but tired. "Happiness is a moment, Aaron. Peace is a lifetime." "I had peace in that little house by the sea." He swallowed hard. "I just wanted you safe." "I was safe," she said. "Just not where you wanted me to be." Those words hit him deeper than he could admit. That night, Aaron couldn't sleep. He walked to the balcony and looked out at the city. It was beautiful, dazzling, alive, full of movement, but to him, it suddenly felt hollow. All the noise, all the light, none of it meant home. He thought of his mother's journal, her rose plant, the sound of waves he'd long forgotten. And for the first time, he wondered, had he really done this for her? Or for himself? Days passed, and guilt grew heavier. Then, one morning, Aaron got a call from Sophia at work. "You need to come home," she said, her voice trembling. "It's your mom." He raced home. Lena had fainted while watering her little rose plant. They took her to the hospital. The doctor said her heart was weak, too much stress, too little joy. Erin sat beside her bed, holding her hand, whispering, "I'm sorry, Mom. I just wanted to take care of you." Lena opened her eyes slowly and smiled. "I know, my son. You always wanted to fix everything. But some things aren't broken," he cried silently, gripping her hand as if it could anchor his regret. That night, he went home, opened his laptop, and began searching for something he hadn't thought about in years: their old house. To his surprise, it was still for sale. The new owners had listed it again, a little worn down, a little older, but still standing proud by the sea. He stared at the screen for a long time, then whispered, "I'm bringing her home." My dear ones, sometimes life gives us a second chance, but it whispers instead of shouting. That night, when Erin found the listing for the old beach house, it felt like the universe was whispering to him, "Go home." He stared at the photo of the little house with the blue shutters and the overgrown rosebush and realized that no apartment, no modern comfort could ever replace what he'd lost, what he'd taken from his mother. The next morning, he called the realtor. "I want to buy it," he said. "Whatever the price." The agent laughed softly. "You must really love that place." "You're not the first to ask." Erin's heart sank. "Is it sold?" "Not yet," she said. "But there's an offer coming in soon." Erin didn't hesitate. "I'll pay in full today." He didn't even think twice. He transferred the deposit, signed every paper, and by evening, the beach house was his again. But as he held the deed, he didn't feel proud. He felt humbled, because he finally understood that ownership wasn't about walls or property. It was about belonging. That night, Erin went to the hospital. Lena was awake, frail but smiling. He knelt beside her bed and said softly, "Mom, how would you like to see the sea again?" Her eyes widened just a little, as if she dared not hope. "The sea?" He nodded, trying to hold back tears. "I got the house back, Mom. Our home. It's waiting for you." For a moment, she just looked at him, and then her lips trembled into the softest smile. "You brought me home before I even left," she whispered. Sophia stood by the door, wiping tears from her eyes. In that moment, the city, the noise, the endless rush of life, it all faded away. All that mattered was a mother and her son finding their way back to each other. A few days later, they made the trip. The doctor insisted Lena shouldn't strain herself, but Erin was careful, gentle, determined. The closer they got to the coast, the more her eyes lit up. When they finally reached the house, she gasped softly. The paint was faded, the porch creaked, but to her, it was beautiful. Erin helped her out of the car, holding her arm as she stepped onto the old wooden porch. The moment her feet touched it, her eyes filled with tears. "It's still here," she whispered. It waited. Erin smiled through his own tears. "So did I, Mom." Inside, the air smelled faintly of salt and memory. The house had changed, the furniture gone, the walls bare, but it still felt alive. Lena walked slowly from room to room, touching the door frames, the window sills, the marks where Erin had once drawn with crayons. When she reached the kitchen, she stopped. The afternoon light poured in just as it used to, golden and soft. She turned to Aaron. "This house forgives you," she said. He blinked in confusion. "Forgives me?" She nodded. "Because it knows your heart never meant harm. It just forgot its way home." Aaron broke down then, sobbing like a child. He sank to his knees, clutching her hands. "I thought I was giving you more, Mom. I didn't see that I was taking away everything that mattered." She ran her fingers through his hair and whispered, "You gave me the greatest gift of all. You came back." For a while, neither of them spoke. The sound of waves filled the silence, steady and calm. Sophia joined them, kneeling beside Aaron. "Lena," she said softly, "I'm sorry too. I should have known better." Lena smiled, cupping her cheek. "You know now." That's enough. In the days that followed, the three of them worked together to bring life back to the house. They cleaned, painted, fixed the roof, and replanted the rosebush that had nearly withered away. Each day, Lena seemed to grow stronger. Her laughter returned, her color warmed, her steps steadied. One evening, as the sun sank into the sea, Aaron found her sitting on the porch, watching the horizon. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said. She smiled. "It always was. You just needed to stop running long enough to see it again." He sat beside her. "Do you ever think you'll forgive me completely?" She looked at him, her eyes reflecting the fading light. "Oh, my son, I forgave you the moment you told me. I just needed time for you to forgive yourself." That night, Aaron stood by the window, watching his mother sleep peacefully for the first time in months. He realized that success, money, and ambition, all of it meant nothing if love wasn't at the center. The next morning, Lena woke early, made breakfast, and called out, "Aaron, Sophia, come eat before it gets cold." And for a moment, it felt just like old times. They laughed, teased, and talked about everything from Sophia's work to the little cracks in the ceiling they'd fix next. Then Lena said something that stayed with Aaron forever. "Homes don't disappear, my loves. They wait for us to grow wise enough to return." Aaron smiled. "I think I'm finally wise, Mom," she chuckled softly. Then stay that way years later. After Lena passed peacefully in her sleep, Aaron and Sophia kept the beach house just as she'd left it. Every summer, they'd visit, bring flowers to the porch, and tell stories of the woman who taught them what love really meant. Aaron would sit on that same porch, watching the waves, and whisper, "I hope you see this. Mom, I hope you know I never forgot again." And when the wind carried the scent of roses from the garden, he felt her presence, gentle, forgiving, eternal. My dear ones, that's the thing about love. It never truly leaves. It lives in the places we built together, in the people who shaped us, and in the quiet moments when we finally listen to our hearts. So if you have someone you love, a parent, a child, a friend, don't wait to go home. Say what needs saying. Do what needs doing. Because one day you'll realize that the real treasure was never the house, but the love that built it. And as Auntie Mae always says, home isn't where you live, my dears. It's where you're loved.